Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday, June 8th. Happy lunch hour. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are our second week into our June webinar series with our fantastic sponsors, Comcast, and of course, all the support in the world that we could ask for from New Mexico Tech. So thank you to Shay and team, and of course, Miss Angelique Baca, who is behind the scenes here at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber. And by the way, guys, she's going to kill me for doing this, but it is her birthday today. So I want to give a big shout out and a big happy birthday to Angelique, who is making things happen here. And we can't do it without her. So happy birthday, Miss Angelique. So today, I'm very, very excited, everybody, because we have reached out to our friends at the City of Albuquerque Economic Development Office. As most of you know, Cynthia Jaramillo, a friend of the Chamber, was with us for, I believe, 17, 18 years, transitioned over a couple years ago to work for the mayor and the city as the Economic Development Director for the City of Albuquerque. And so she has a wonderful team, a team that has been so busy doing so much during COVID, and we're gonna address all of that. But what I'd like to do is kind of just get started a little bit with who they are and what they do, and then we're just gonna dive into some questions and find out what's been going on with this particular department. So let's start with David, who actually is the head of this department. David, please introduce yourself and what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Hello, everybody. My name is David Sayers. I am the Small Business Office Manager with the City of Albuquerque. The City of Albuquerque established this office back in September of 2019 with the sole purpose and mission to support, be a resource, and for the office to advocate for small businesses here in Albuquerque. So that is my role, and as of late, it's been quite busy. And then next, I'd like to introduce Monica, who I'll let her explain. Go ahead, Monica.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monica Mitchell, and I'm the Senior Economic Developer for the department. And my role, I have many hats in this department. I work alongside David, helping small businesses in this environment. We work to set up the micro business relief grant and have been very busy since COVID just to help businesses with some extra additional resources during COVID and beyond.
Well, and that's good news because we will get past COVID, and so we'll be moving on to new initiatives, of course. So that's going to be really exciting. So before we talk about what's been going on the last 3 months and what we want to look forward to in the future, I do want to tackle a little bit about the office specifically and the reason that it was developed. And I know in particularly that one of the hardest things for small businesses to do is navigate city government, and navigate what they need to be doing for whatever it may be. Maybe you need licensing or permitting or all the different things that you might need within your business to work within the city. And so this department was part of its mission was to help walk people through that. So David, if you could just take us through a little bit of, how do we reach out to you? Where are you located? Tell us some of the basics about the office itself and how you're engaging with the community to share with them what you guys do.
Sure. So the small business office, well, the physical location would be 317 Gold, but it is closed due to COVID right now. So I am housed in the Economic Development Office. I'm taking phone calls and video appointments to assist businesses. In the office, what we can offer relative to my background is technical assistance, how businesses can structure their business, what items they need in place as far as insurance, permitting, and other items to consider depending on the business that you are entering. We do have phone numbers available. We have a small business website at the City of Albuquerque website. If you go to the cityofalbuquerque.gov website and type in the search box small business office, you can find all resources that are available, especially during COVID, on the landing page, and also the small business office contact information. My contact information is listed there, and I'm happy to share that right now. So the small business office phone number is 505-768-3730. And my personal work cell phone number is 505-252-3473. I'm happy to take your call, especially during COVID. And I've been working, especially with restaurants and other micro businesses, to try and find the resources that are available, try and keep them updated on PPP. For example, PPP is still got funding. As of, I believe, last Thursday, I learned that there's still about 60 billion left in PPP, which is the flagship of all resources available right now. But anyway, so we also had the the City of Albuquerque Micro Business Relief Program that was available. Unfortunately, that application has closed right now as the city is working to raise more capital. But like I said, I'm happy to assist with technical assistance. My background is in lending. I worked with a lot of micro businesses here in Albuquerque and the state of New Mexico. I've worked with rural communities, and I know some of the challenges that some of these small businesses face, especially during this era. So Monica, if you have anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, just to add a little bit to that, I mean, in normal times, we've added some online solutions and an online portal so that businesses and individuals can go on and request help in different areas. So we also offer one-on-one guidance, and you know, in Albuquerque, we have a very large ecosystem, so we can connect you to the right person. If it's not the small business office that can offer that assistance, we have many contacts that we can, you know, direct you to that right person or that right individual. So mainly David's role is to connect you to the person within the city and help you get, you know, through permitting, through licensing, and all of the, you know, navigate the city system. But if there's something outside of the city system that you need help with, likely it is, you know, we know that person in that ecosystem and will help you connect to that person. So and one additional thing too is we're also trying to, you know, build our classes. So we, at some point, you know, once we can get back to meeting in person, we'd like to have some classes at the small business office that center around, you know, startups and financing and marketing. And we had actually started before everything happened, you know, just kind of building out a class schedule till the end of the year so that we could help entrepreneurs, you know, learn more about these things that we thought would be beneficial to, you know, the small business community. And now we're seeing what we can do to build out those classes and maybe take them to a virtual environment. So, you know, hopefully in the near future, we'll be hearing more about those classes. So that's something else that we hope to announce, you know, in the near future.
So you guys have a lot going on, and I think it's really important just to kind of break it down for the public a little bit to understand. So let's say that you're a small business, and I'm going to give you an example of one I know of specifically. You're a small business and you put a sign out in front of your store. Maybe it's a sandwich board or it's a flag or one of those, you know, that wave in the air, and all of a sudden you get a fine or you get a notification from the city and you don't know what to do with that. Or if you have a parking issue with how many parking spaces, things like that. People, I think, sometimes don't realize all of the things that are part of owning a business. It's responsible business ownership. What are the things that you need to know? And then these things come up and you're like, wow, I never heard of that, or I didn't know. And that's okay, because what happens is this particular office, a small business advocacy office, is here for you. This is where you call up, you say, hey, I have a question. This is kind of came up. I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know to expect this. And that's okay, because what they'll be able to do is help you walk through what that process is. It's not always easy. It takes time, but these are your friends in learning to navigate the city and the city department.
Correct.
There's a lot of them. And so be thinking, you know, how can they help me? Well, I guarantee you, we work with over 1,100 businesses and most of them have a question regarding the city. And so now with this office, they're able to answer those questions for you. So I just want to throw that out there to give the viewing audience kind of an idea of, well, why would I need to call them? It's not always about construction and you need a permit. You know, it's not always about, can you connect me? It's, hey, I have a legit issue and the city is asking this of me. And they'll be able to walk through that. So moving forward, just to give you a little bit of idea of how that works, that's one of the things that they do. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about COVID. Now, I know, you know, where we were on our trajectory on, you know, February 28th, let's say, and, you know, within a week, life really changed for a lot of us. And you guys are dealing with thousands and thousands of businesses within the city. So I want to kind of do a two-part question here. You know, the big overall question is, you know, what have you guys been doing and what has changed in the way that you now interact with the public and with local small business owners? And then let's also talk about a couple of the initiatives you guys did, including the loan assistance program that you had, because we also had a lot of phone calls and questions on that. We referred them, you know, to the website and to follow with you guys, but there was people asking about how that works. So let's just kind of open up the conversation, whoever wants to start and tell us about how things are a little different now.
Well, I'll start and then I'll let David finish up, because really, thankfully, David actually started the week, like the very day that everything started happening. So he had a truncated orientation and came upstairs and we were like, thank you, and hit the ground running. And we stood up, and it actually wasn't a loan program, it was a grant program. So we were able to give 150 businesses a $5,000 grant, which, you know, we were very thankful for. And let me back that up a little bit. We did 140 businesses, and then we got an additional 10 businesses through the One Albuquerque Fund. So a total of 150 businesses. And we were able to stand up that program very, very quickly. And it was through, you know, the hard work of many departments. I mean, our department, but then, you know, we also had help from finance and everybody else that was willing to just kind of roll their sleeves up and figure out how to make this all happen. And it was kind of phenomenal, because we had the, you know, application open for only 1 week, and we had about 1,400 applicants. So that just told us the need in our small business community. And this was really only open to micro businesses. So that's businesses with 5 and under employees. And really, you know, right after that, after it was open and we received our applications, then we went through the process of, you know, starting to fund those. And that's really, David's background in lending was really very helpful, because he was able to help us, you know, decide what was needed to help, you know, fund these properly. And then he went through and you know, looked at all the paperwork appropriately. And, you know, we have since funded the majority of those businesses. And now we're just looking for additional funding. So if anybody out there is listening and has extra money and they want to give and fund these businesses, we're asking people to, you know, donate to the One Albuquerque Fund, and earmark it specifically for small businesses. And then, you know, it's our hope that we'll be able to fund another set of businesses through these applications. So, but, you know, ever since then, it was just, you know, phone call after phone call of how can we help and how do I navigate the system, and whether it was our grant applications or the PPP, or, you know, we also put together a resource guide that's on the small business website. So, you know, we do direct people to that guide still, because that is being updated as new information is coming out. And David is still receiving calls daily. I would say at least half of his day, if not, you know, 3/4 of his day, is probably answering phone calls from small business owners on, you know, what do I do next and how do I proceed? And then in addition to that, you know, our office did formulate some recovery mechanisms that we feel that we should filter up to the administration and onto the state, just on our recommendations on what our small businesses needed in the area. So I'll pass it off to David to see if there's anything that I missed, and, you know, he can talk about what he's hearing from our small business community.
Well,
Sure.
David, I just want to jump in really quick and say, first of all, welcome. And if you got through this time, you get anything, because what a way to start your new career, being thrusted at the very first day, the first onset of this pandemic. So, I've heard nothing but great things. I follow you guys. I watch you guys. I'm in touch with your department on a regular basis. So you've been a great support in the community. Both of you, David, thank you so much for everything you do. You are definitely one of the people in the community that is making a difference. So thanks you to everybody, especially for the businesses that got the loan money. That was huge. You guys went in quick, and made it happen quick. And those are things that they will not forget. So thank you on behalf of small business.
Absolutely. And thank you for our partnerships. I really look forward to developing our partnerships and looking forward to the creative things we could do together, and supporting small businesses. I do want to comment that when we developed the micro business grant program for businesses with 5 or less employees, I had no idea what kind of response we would get. There was just not enough data to support, the target we were going for. We didn't know how many applications we were going to get. And the fact that we got almost 1,400 applications of businesses with 5 or less employees is just incredible. I mean, that type of ecosystem in Albuquerque is just astounding. So I just want to comment on that. There was, I'm actually very excited that we do have this entrepreneur environment here in a lot of small businesses that are able to operate like that in Albuquerque. So eye-opening, but otherwise, so the small business office, we had talked about putting together courses and workshops that we feel are needed areas, and with content that we feel are needed in our community. I definitely have ideas around how we want to structure that, how we want to approach these courses. I've taught in technical assistance kind of programs across the state, so I have some pretty solid ideas that I can't wait to get off the ground. And like Monica said, once things kind of return back to normal, those are some of the items that we'd really like to tackle. So if you are a small business and you are interested in seeing what courses or workshops we're going to start having available, please contact us and give us your email address. And so then therefore we can share that information as it comes along. We're building out a good platform. Eventually we want to get it built out so we can really have a database of businesses that are interested in these resources and staying in contact with the office. Because I'm happy to take the calls one-on-one, but if we could streamline the process and communication with our partners, with the city, and make sure everybody's receiving the same information, that would be key. So again, feel free to contact me. I also have an email address as well, davesayers@cabq.gov. Send me an email, say, hey, I'm interested in participating in these workshops as they come available, and we'll add you to our list.
So I think that's great, and we look forward to that, and we'll share that as well. When those classes are ready, we always make sure that we have links to all the local community resources on our website as well. So we'll be happy to help promote and get those together and put them in a weekly newsletter, whatever it takes, because those are really effective in helping small business owners grow and scale in their business, or tackle those questions that they seem, daunting, and there might be a simple answer. So that's what we're definitely all about. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this past 3 months. And I know you've been working with small businesses and in so many different capacities and different ways, but is there any particular either industry or particular businesses that you have seen maybe struggle more than others, or have maybe needed a different type of support that, was like, wow, eye-opening, that you weren't expecting? There's a lot of, obviously everybody was affected in some way, but there is some industries that are more affected. So
for me, I would say it was restaurants. And I know that a lot of restaurants were still able to do takeout, but when we started digging in to do our recommendations, a lot of the restaurants that had closed stated that, for them to restock, to be able to reopen, the inventory cost for them was approximately $10,000. So that's a lot of money for a lot of these small businesses to reopen. The restocking fee, $10,000, that was, pretty significant impact on them financially. So.
Yeah, and I would echo that. Restaurants were hit very hard. Event centers and caterers had seen all their planning and all their events completely wiped out for the year. So all that, even in anticipation for a reopening, they have a lot of ground to make up, and it's very interesting. Some of the conversations I had around those. So yeah, those are the industries we find were the most difficult.
And a lot of salons and barbers, because they rent the space or the chair, they don't necessarily, own the facility. So a lot of people who are able to take out the loans were the owners of the business, but, it depended on how the businesses were structured. So we did see that often.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up, and I'm glad that you did. So there's this, it's a lot to navigate. It's a lot to handle as a person that's going to just live with and live through this COVID time, but then to be a small business owner and figure out what you qualify and for what you don't. A lot of solopreneurs didn't qualify for, say, the unemployment stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get the PPP loans. There was so many different things, and everybody says, oh, there's billions of dollars available, and there is, but not for everybody. And so I always like to say that we need to take notice of those micro businesses, those 5 or less employees. They really have had a tough time navigating what is available to them and what is not, because not everything was available. So that's been some of the issues that we have found here in hoping to help connect to that. So can local businesses, can they still reach out, and are you guys still sending them to different places to get, because like on our side, for instance, we had a couple of people reach out. In the beginning, it was tough with the PPP, but we finally got that kind of sorted out. And we were trying to use kind of non-traditional type lending as well, because, the banks were so backed up and then they were capped. And so we did some stuff with Dream Spring. We reached out to Loan Fund Capital, Native Capital, different companies like that to maybe offer some non-traditional types of lending. So how is that going with you guys?
Well, as far as lending goes, we do rely on the community partners and bankers and nonprofit lenders like DreamSpring or West. We had conversations around developing our own loan program. Some cities had started offering their own program, and we're taking a look at that. There's nothing really finalized on that. There's just a lot of ideas and kind of skeleton outlines of how it would look, but that is something I think we'd circle around and look at a little bit closer once we have time available. What would you say about that, Monica?
I echo your thoughts exactly. So
I also wanted to comment, we were looking at not only a loan program, but also a loan guarantee program. And I want to make the distinction between both. The loan program would be funds coming from the city or entity directly with interest rate and a term. The guarantee, like what the state of New Mexico offers, they will work with financial institutions and have an agreement where they will provide a guarantee in case of default. And I started looking at items like that because the city, I think, has a capacity to help small businesses who do have a disadvantage as far as collateral or credit score, and then guarantee these loans, allowing businesses to have access to capital. So those things have been kind of floating around the city for a little while.
I'm so glad.
And
go ahead.
Can I just add one point?
Yeah, please do.
The other thing too is that we are acting as the fiscal agent on all of the LIDA loans that the state is issuing for the loans that are coming out of the city of Albuquerque. So we are working in partnership with the state on the LIDA loans.
So I'm glad that you guys brought that up, because what that says to the public out there, to the business owners out there, there's other types of funding available, lending available, financial support available if you can't go to your bank, or you've been to your bank and you weren't able to get the loans that you need. Maybe like David mentioned, it could have been credit. It could be, there's lots of different things. So you guys, there's so many organizations out there. Reach out, to the Small Business Advocacy Office and ask them, because they will have that list. I mean, we've talked about Dream Spring, we've talked about West. There's so many, here we've used the Loan Fund, Native Capital, and they are actually organizations that are there to help you. They're there to help your businesses. And unfortunately, we say during this time, but at any time really. And so they have different guidelines and different rules. So we encourage you to reach out, find out who they are, first of all, through David and his team. And then also after that, find out what you can do with them, because we have some really great stories from Dream Spring and different entities like that. So that's really great. Do you guys find that, I'm guessing, so correct me if I'm wrong, I'm guessing the number one reach out is financial right now. That's probably the biggest. But what are some of the other questions and necessities that the businesses have reached out to you guys for?
I can go first. It's interesting because I've actually had a couple of calls recently as far as businesses looking to re-register or expand, for example. So since COVID happened, planning in a lot of offices that participate or that are involved with those types of activities are operating at limited capacity, and there's a delay. And so I'm hearing some frustration because, people have started this process pre-COVID and then COVID hit. And, just to get a building inspected, or maybe just to submit an easement or something for their business, it's taking a bit of time. So I've heard that occur a few times. In other cases, financial is the number one thing we hear about. I would say those are top two. There's kind of a mixed variety of other things I work with, but those are top two for sure.
So interesting that you brought that up. But one thing that I would like to bring up is that, though everybody in some way, shape, or form has been affected by the pandemic, absolutely, there was businesses that were deemed essential that stayed open that still absolutely have to function. And one of those is construction. And so I can't even imagine how your planning and zoning department has been handling it, because it's still happening. Construction is still happening. People are still building. You still got to have plumbing, heating, and cooling, and all of that stuff that is really important. And so again, definitely outside the box, thinking it's not always just how am I going to get financial support, or it's about connecting and saying these are the things that I need to get done. And I know for a fact, again, working with a lot of small businesses and contractors that have had some struggles with permitting and stuff. So it's really great that you guys can help in that area, because that's always, pandemic or not, that's always a hot spot with getting your permits together so that you can open your business or add an addition or stripe your parking lot or whatever it may be. So I think that's super important. So guys, I just want to touch a little bit on last weekend we had unfortunately some protests that got a little bit out of hand, and we're not going to get too much into that, but I do want to talk about that impact on those small businesses. And I also want to talk about how quickly the city stepped in and almost immediately took care of what they could in that moment. So just want to talk a little bit about how that, how that call came to you. You guys woke up to this, what was happening, in the middle of the night, and how you guys quickly reacted to support those downtown small businesses immediately.
Would you like to?
You want to go ahead, David? Okay. Well, David and I came in and basically, Cynthia rallied us. We went downtown. We offered, the city was offering actually support to board up all of the buildings, free of charge, just to prevent any additional damage. And we went down to actually talk to the business owners down there and survey the damage. We wrote up a report, and we're hoping to be in contact with the businesses. And then David did some additional, one-on-one calls. And then we also tried to get email addresses so that we could keep them in the loop, because we know there was some additional, barricades and closures of streets this past weekend. So David was, trying to communicate with these businesses all weekend. And that is something that went on this entire weekend, because there was some emails and phone calls and back and forth for people who couldn't, actually get to either residents or businesses. So, and I'll let David chime in here because I know he's been in contact with quite a few of those businesses.
Yeah, and some things during our assessment of downtown after Sunday night activities allowed me to ask questions as far as how businesses were handling the situation, how insurance companies were handling situations, and also just in conversations as far as like what the insurance companies covered. So I don't know if I could talk about it, but there was a couple items that came up where I'm not going to name any names or any businesses, but I had made contact with businesses who in fact didn't have insurance and they actually canceled it during COVID. And I want to bubble this up and kind of make people aware that, if you have a vehicle, for example, this is my example, if you have a vehicle and you're not driving it, why continue paying insurance? So during COVID, I actually ran into some occurrences where some businesses were not paying their insurance or maybe had suspended it because it was COVID, because they're not operating, they still had this insurance payment to make. And then activities downtown created damage, and some businesses unfortunately didn't have that coverage, or I've also experienced talking with business owners that their insurance did not in fact cover broken glass.
And
They will cover looting, but it's very dicey as far as I'm still learning about this, but for the majority, a lot of businesses didn't cover broken glass, and so I tried to make that a topic as far as my assessment, and I brought it to the attention of our department. And also we're still working on plans, and obviously we still haven't even made contact with a handful of businesses. It's just been difficult, but we got a pretty good assessment and an idea what kind of damage was done.
So I think, again, a super, super important topic for small business owners, and not just the downtown owners, but any small businesses. Pandemic, nobody's ever been through this before. The world has never shut down for 3 months. So everybody's learning as they go. And I know that in a time when you don't have your doors open and you're not bringing in revenue every single day, you have to cut costs. And unfortunately, some of those businesses did cut insurance. But I want to say this about insurance. Like David said, if you have a parked car, think twice about, canceling that insurance, even if it's just the basic or the liability part. My advice is to really get to know your insurance agent. Find out who they are, set up a time to chat with them, and ask them for anything and everything under the sun that could be offered to you. Because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And a perfect example is, I was remodeling last year on a home, and I did not live in it because I was remodeling, and the house got broken into and everything inside, which was like the tools and the few things we had moved in, got stolen. You're not covered during remodeling. Your home is not covered. So those are things I would have known. I had to call my insurance agent to tell them, hey, I'm remodeling, and then they add this particular remodel insurance or whatever it was called, but I would have never known. I just moved out so we could remodel, move back in. So you don't know. It's like a business. They didn't know they didn't have, civil dispute insurance or whatever it might be called. So I would say get to know your insurance agent very, very well and ask them, offer me everything, and then I'll check the boxes. And in the future, I will never go without insurance. And I ask a lot of questions now. And seeing those downtown businesses, I also drove through. I took dozens of pictures just because I was a little in shock, as to what had happened, which leads me to the next question. The next topic I'd love to talk about is, Albuquerque is so full of culture. Everybody that comes here, whether it's conferences or conventions or tourists that are coming through, and they say, wow, it's just so full of history and culture. And, that stretch right there, that stretch that was, very mishandled last week from looters or, whatever we want to call them, that's a piece of our history. And so it's really important that, Route 66, if you guys go back and read that history and the importance of that, So what are the plans, if any? And I know that this isn't a black and white question by any means. I know there's a lot more that goes into it, but what are the plans? You know, Route 66 is such a part of our community and our history and our culture. How do you guys see that revitalizing over time? Because I think even before COVID, you know, the little bit of love that we could give to 66 was in the works.
Monica?
So yes, we definitely do have some plans. I know that there's some marketing definitely, and then obviously, hopefully our hotels come back and our travel comes back, because that will obviously generate some more money to be able to market these areas that, you know, our tourists like and locals as well. So, and then we're also working on, you know, regeneration of just the whole area as a whole. So hopefully we can overlay some different, you know, programs that we're working on internally, and that will hopefully generate some additional, you know, buzz around those areas.
You know, there is so much to do downtown. I think sometimes that even locals forget the beauty of downtown. So I'd love for you guys to share with me, what is your favorite thing about downtown Albuquerque or the downtown area of Albuquerque? For me, you know, I absolutely love the bank lofts. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't even know what I'm talking about, but what a scene. If you're able to you know, they do a lot of private parties up there, but if you're able to get up to that and see that beautiful scene, that strip, that Route 66, the lights, the neon lights, it's breathtaking, and it'll give you a new kind of like a new sense of, wow, that's my city, you know. So that's something I love about downtown that I don't think a lot of people know exist. What about you guys?
I really like the art walks, the First Friday art walks, because it combines, you know, walking around, getting to know the businesses, and then obviously the culture of New Mexico. You get to see kind of everything all combined.
Monica, can you tell us just real quick a little bit about that and where we can find some information to share with the public?
Sure. I actually was looking at it for last Friday, but they don't actually have, they do have a site, I should say, but it's not on Twitter. I believe it's only on Instagram and Facebook. Is that correct, okay, David? You might know that better. But you can do First Friday Art Walk. You can Google it and it'll come up, but it's the First Friday. And, you know, they usually will post, you know, what spaces are open during that First Friday and what they're doing. So you can Google that and it'll come up, and hopefully this next First Friday we'll have one. So.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
Well, I like the fact that there's so many event venues. So you can, on any given weekend, there's probably a concert or some live show going on. So, you know, whenever I find myself looking for something to do, at least during normal times, I could just, you know, take a cruise downtown and see who's playing and seeing what events are happening. Also, this is very similar related, not quite downtown, but Old Town, and even more specifically, Hotel Albuquerque, they, on Thursday nights, they have salsa. So I love participating, like dancing and stuff like that, like cultural, like salsa dancing, like old school dancing. So I think, you know, there's a lot to offer. You just kind of have to be adventurous and also being open-minded to some of the things that are happening downtown.
Well, I agree, and I think that you know, it's not just downtown; it's central. It's beautiful all the way into Nob Hill. You know, there's just such history there that we love. You know, I love to explore, whether it's having, you know, a glass of wine on a patio, or like you said, checking out maybe a business that you didn't even know existed. So I think we're looking forward to the you know, revitalization of all of that after the pandemic. It's not even about, you know, what was happening before. It's now getting these businesses reopened and getting people excited to be out and about. So, you know, before we close up, what I'd love to hear from you guys is share with us your last minute thoughts, things you want the public to know about the office and about, you know, what's important and how you can continue to be supporting the small businesses in the community.
Sure. I just, you know, want people to know that we're available, we're working hard, we're doing everything that we can, you know, to help small businesses. So, like David said, we are available. So feel free to reach out. We will give you our contact information. We'll give it to Shannon so she can post. So if there is a question that you have, feel free to contact us, and we're here to help. So.
Yeah, and I echo that. My office, I like to provide that. Feel free to contact us anytime. Give us a ring, drop an email. But also, my recommendation is stroll into a new business. Introduce yourself to the business owner. They are your neighbors. They are your, I don't know if you know this, but they say 7 degrees of separation, but in Albuquerque, it's more like 3 degrees. You may know them through some other avenue, but connecting with them and actually building that community and making them feel safe and supported, I think, is critical, especially during these times. So if you find yourself with a few hours in a day, go down and say hi to one of your local small businesses.
So I'm going to say, David, it's probably more like 1 degree because it's really rare to be like somebody that knows that person. So, it's, but that is the beauty of our community and what we do. And that really shows how we collaborate and partner together and really build each other up. And, those collaborations lead to so many wonderful things. So that's really, really exciting when we think about 1 degree of separation. In my opinion, anyway, I think it just makes us a bigger and better community. So that's the part I love about our city so much. So, well, you guys, we've had a fun time getting to know the team down at the Small Business Advocacy Office. They are here for you. David and his team is prepped and ready for your questions, your needs. They're here to share resources and possible opportunities as they come along. It sounds like you guys have a lot in the works. I just want to recap a little. They're going to be continuing to work in the community with small businesses. So again, encouraging you to reach out. They're also going to be developing a classroom or video, maybe virtual classroom series for small business owners, micro business owners that may need that support as well. And I also want to include something that Monica said, that is, if you are a business out there and you are have the capital, you have extra funding available, fiscal year is about to end for a lot of people. Look at that. Let's make sure that you guys reach out to Monica and her team and talk about donating to that One Albuquerque Fund, because that is the fund, part of that fund that really helped to support those 150 businesses, literally at the beginning of the pandemic. And it was really exciting to see the city work so quickly to do the best that they could with what they had to help small businesses. So I just want to reiterate all of that to you guys. David, before we leave, one more time, can you share with us your phone number and your email and how people can reach you?
Absolutely. So you can, like I mentioned, you can email me directly, dsayers, SAYERS, @cabq.gov. You can also email smallbusinessoffice@cabq.gov. The Small Business Office direct line is 505-768-3730. And then my direct line is 505-252-3473.
And Monica, what about you? My direct line is 768-3226, and it's mmitchell@cabq.gov for my email.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being with us. We look forward to staying in touch and always learning what's going on. I want to also encourage you guys to reach out anytime you need us to share any information with the membership and the community as well too, because sometimes we're talking in pockets that you are not, and vice versa, and so it always helps to cross collaborate. But thank you guys so much. So thank you to Comcast, who is our June webinar series sponsor. We appreciate their partnership. Comcast does a lot for the community and does a lot for the Hispano Chamber. And so to the whole team down there, Julianne and your whole team, we really appreciate you guys. Another big shout out to New Mexico Tech. They are like I always say, the Oz or the elves behind the scenes. They really keep things going for us. And before we leave, I just want to remind you guys that last week we started a program in more collaboration in collaboration with City Council, Clarissa Pena and Cynthia Borrego's office. And we were able to reach out to some of those businesses that were able to donate PPE, personal protective equipment, masks, gloves, sanitizers, what have you. And we put together 1,000 bags. And so we had a great run last Thursday.
Great.
We did about half. And so we have some left. And so this Friday, we will be doing the same thing. So I'm not sure if it's going to get posted in this link. We'll try to do that. I just threw that out to Angelique. She's probably giving me a look like, what? But we're going to have it right here on our Facebook page, and it's also on our website. It's also going to be on our weekly highlights. If you don't subscribe, all you have to do is register. Small businesses, micro businesses, businesses under 5 from 9 to 1 on Friday here at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber campus, 1309 4th Street. You line up in the front of the building and you follow the arrows around, and we'll give you a little drive-through so that we can keep our social distancing and keeping things moving as quickly as possible. And we'd love to hand out the rest of those bags full of coupons and swag, and then of course the essentials. And we do have some thermometers left, so the first group through is going to be guaranteed those thermometers, but we'll be bringing you more information throughout the week on that. So remember, this Friday at the campus chamber from 9 to 1. So thank you guys all. Have a fantastic week. Happy Monday to you all. We will see you here on Wednesday for the next part of the Comcast webinar series. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.